Well, very often on the show we talk about measurement, and in fact, we'll be talking about measurement at the end of our show on our Tech Corner with Pinpoint Laser Systems. But measuring things when we're talking about objects and that sort of thing is pretty straightforward. You have an instrument that simply takes dimensional measurement or light measurement or whatever. But how do you quantitatively measure customer service? Well, that is exactly what our next guest is going to discuss with us. Robin Gomez is Director of Consumer Insights at GSI Commerce, a company that provides phone, email, chat, and social media support to its customers. Hello, Robin. How are you doing today?
Great. How are you guys doing?
Oh, pretty good. Well, real briefly, before we get started, tell us again what exactly GSI Commerce does.
Sure. GSI Commerce is an eBay Inc. company. And definitely what we do is really bring in the omni-channel experience across multi-channel retailing and interactive marketing solutions for a lot of the world's premier brands. One of the things that we focus on primarily from an operational standpoint is our ability to deliver through a network of fulfillment centers as well as our customer contact centers that we have 4 in the United States.
Okay, now e-commerce obviously is a very competitive industry. How does identifying and addressing customer requirements, in other words, ensuring quality, help GSI Commerce keep its edge?
Yeah, sure. It's a great question. One of the things that we have to do is really make sure that we have some common processes. Supporting over 100 brands in our contact centers really poses its own challenge in trying to make sure that we have some repeatability, that our agents are able to service the customers, and that we're able to still brand the image for our individual clients. So really what we look at is managing on what we can manage, which is really our agents' behaviors. So we look at those agent behaviors, we correlate that against what our consumer feedback is and what the consumer sentiment is, and then we can manage those behaviors in order to make sure that we're getting the right kind of outputs. Really, again, are we getting the consumer experience that we want based upon what we're doing? We really utilize the American Customer Satisfaction Index model in order to be able to understand what those key drivers are, so that then, through our quality assurance programs, we can ensure that we're having our agents perform the right behaviors, which are going to elicit the right responses from our consumers, and ultimately drive the best consumer experience on a repetitive basis.
Well, Robin, we had an article this week that I'm sure you're aware of from Matthew Storm of Nice Systems. And Matthew wrote about a system that you and your team use called interactive analytics from Nice Systems. And that it mines, as we understand it, it mines data from a variety of sources. So maybe you can tell us as a user of this technology, well, what are some of those sources and kind of how does that work?
Yeah, sure. We primarily focus on interaction analytics with Nice on our phone activity. Really what we do is all the call recordings that we have coming in, again, there's just a wealth of information embedded in those recordings and those actual interactions that are happening between the customers and our agents. Really what we're doing with the tool is taking the recordings themselves and analyzing them at a very specific level based upon lexicons, words and phrases that we've defined to say, you know what, this is something that, one, we're either interested in, we want to know more about, it's causing a pain point in our delivery, or something along those lines. So we leverage Nice Interaction Analytics in order to create categories, also kind of help define what we don't know that's happening in these interactions in order to be able to really, again, hit the plethora of information that we have. We've been able to utilize that in order to really drive efficiencies like average handle time in the call center environment, really look at those process flows from step A to B, where are their pain points for the customers, what don't they understand, what are they communicating to us really real time during those interactions, and being able to take that and really to drive the consumer experience.
Robin, is this basically, when you're collecting this data, is this basically aggregated data so that you understand kind of what the issues are in general, or do you also collect data specific to a particular customer interaction? And I guess what I'm thinking of is it possible to identify maybe this is a person who calls in a lot, or this is a chronic complainer, or this person has had this issue several times? Is that also part of the system?
Really what we look at is the aggregate, looking at it in aggregate across a product, client, a type of interaction. So not so much at the individual customer level to look at, is John Doe, did he contact us 57 times? But more so what type of interactions are causing our customers to call us back more than once? What are we not resolving? What are the issues that are more prevalent across our client base, in particular for a specific client?
What are some of the big issues around collecting big data? Obviously, you have a lot of data coming in, both from the system we just discussed, I'm sure from other sources. So you've got a lot of data at your fingertips. How do you deal with all that?
No, absolutely. One of the things about call centers is that there is so much data. Everything that's done, everything that's coming in is measured. That's good and bad. Again, having all of this data, the main thing that we really want to look at is of these millions of contacts that we're getting from phone, email, chat, social interactions, is really narrowing that down and focusing on what are those critical data points. So again, we take a balanced scorecard approach to understand what are those key data elements that we need to make sure that our users, our agents, our supervisors, managers, clients, etc., understand and keep focus on those main pieces of data, structuring them in a meaningful way so that we can take action on it. And a big piece of it is really kind of, I'll use a COPC term, but keeping that data in a QCA format so that we can do something with it, look at trends, avoid anomalies and taking action there, and then applying a Lean Six Sigma process improvement effort where we see that our information isn't going the right way. So again, really paring it down to what's meaningful and what's important out of this mountain of data that we do collect.
We've been talking kind of in an abstract, so I mean, can you give us an example maybe of a type of problem or something that you've been able to detect and then correct based on collecting this kind of data?
Absolutely. So one great example is we had a client that particularly had a very excessive handle time when we were looking at our client base. We wanted to really understand what those drivers were that were impacting that consumer experience, because ultimately, again, we want to be able to help our customers as quickly as possible, and that's what the customer wants as well. By using interaction analytics to really delve into what are those specific process points. So we broke down, really did flow charts of the actual call. What were the steps that were being taken? How long did each one of those steps take? Being able to quickly identify those specific types of interactions using interaction analytics and not have to sit there manually and listen to hundreds of calls, in turn utilizing the system to go through tens of thousands of calls, breaking that down, understanding what those key impacts were and those process steps, modifying them, changing them. And in essence, a great example there is we reduced handle time by 100 seconds within that call type. To really have a huge impact on our overall labor staffing as well as the consumer experience and really our client benefit.
Robin, it's a great example of practical Lean Six Sigma as far as I can see, because you're really going through that demand process, you're crunching your data, and you're improving the process not only for your customers, which of course is always the most important thing, but for yourself as well, for your team, and saving time, eliminating waste, and that's what we're all about.
Yep.
So for us, I think this is a great case study, great benchmarking opportunity for a lot of folks in a wide spectrum of industries, not just necessarily in your specific industry in e-commerce. So, Robin, we got to go. We got a full show today, but really, thank you so much for joining us and giving us an insight into what GSI Commerce does and how you've gotten to where you are today.
All right, thank you all very much. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too, Robin.